Well, hello and a very warm welcome back to the TNC Podcast. Saturday saw Norwich City take the lead in the 91st minute. So, Chris Reeve, I'm assuming we won. Or not. You okay?
Oh, mate.
It's happened again. It's happened again.
That was really painful, wasn't it? I mean, we're laughing now because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. When you score a goal in the 90th minute, and we'll go on to all of the nuts and bolts of it in a minute, but when you score a goal of that kind of calibre in the 90th minute, you think, well, brilliant. Bob's your uncle, and fan is your aunt, 3 points in the bag, away from home, happy days. And then we find a way to bottle it.
It's, it's 48 hours on from said happening. Have you recovered?
I think I'm now, what's it? Is it the three stages of, is it grief? That's a bit morbid.
I think
or is it like, I don't know, adversity? There's like anger. One of them is acceptance. That's the
Denial.
end one. Denial. Yeah.
Anger, denial, acceptance. I think that's a shortened version.
Oh, well, that's really interesting because mine was the other way around. So when it first happened, I was in denial. I was just like, no. Chris Gorham already in Norfolk, no chance, that's not happened. No. And then that night and the whole of the following day, fuming. I was in a foul mood yesterday, mate. Foul. But I think now I'm looking at the league table and I'm thinking, we're 4 points off. We've got two winnable home games.
We said if we didn't win this game, we would say it's game over.
I know. But
it was boom or bust on Saturday, but neither happened, so we're still in it.
Okay, but let me flip this. We are 3 unbeaten away from home.
Okay, let's get into it. It was Blackburn Rovers 1, Norwich City 1. Norwich City throwing away a 91st minute goal to 10 men. Blackburn Rovers, I keep forgetting they were down to 10 men.
Should have been down to 8 men.
Should we start with a positive?
Come on.
I think that since that horrific week of Derby and Preston,
yes,
Norwich City's performances, so what have we had? We've had Hull, we've had Stoke, we've had Blackburn. All three of those performances have been, on the whole, better. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. And then that's almost what makes you and what is making Johannes tear his hair out.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're spending the vast majority of games on top. I think I'd maybe positively challenge it slightly around. I'm looking back at the Blackburn stats, and yes, we dominated possession.
We didn't create enough, I don't think.
No, we didn't. And XG or not, Blackburn did have that on us. They had more corners than us. They had 2 bigger chances versus our quote-unquote 0, although we'll go on to talk about our big chances in a minute.
It does feel as if in terms of like chance creation, it feels like that Derby and the Preston game, there were real low points,
yes.
And we were really struggling against those types of sides. And granted, we've had different assignments since then, but we are, I think we're more entertaining to watch, and off the back of that, there are better things happening.
Yes.
But the frustration is, and we'll come back to it, Norwich City's inability to just close games out. They have thrown away the most points from winning positions out of any team in the Championship.
Is that true? Is that really true?
True. It's a lot. I think it's 20 plus. And in the back of my mind, a few games pop in. This one, Blackburn, Derby County, a couple of weeks ago, where Jack Stacey decided to kick someone in the head. That was far from ideal. Blackburn at home. Think back to the start of the season.
It's actually not funny.
Norwich were winning that late in the game. Cardiff 1-0 up in sort of the 90th minute.
That was horrific.
And actually, all of these games.
So at least we drew this game rather than lost it, because we lost against Cardiff, didn't we?
Similar instances of us being in control of the game, us being the.
So interesting thing to throw at you then. Do you think it's down to now the old seesaw of inexperience versus experience, right? And many of the supporters, including myself, by the way, were saying, I think we need to bring down they call it the age profile, don't they, right? And the club have made that clear. They want to bring down the age profile. Do you think, Jack, as a consequence of bringing it down, given they've only had a couple of windows to bring it down, do you think this is a byproduct of that? Because they're not doing the streetwise stuff. And if you still look at a Nunes and a Borja, for example, even a Josh Sargent up top, they're actually all still youngish, aren't they?
Yeah, they're youngish. I think if you look at this, look, I'm not here to pick out individuals because I think actually the performance on the whole against Blackburn was pretty good. And on the flip side, it's the inexperienced players, Ante Cianats, who was 30 seconds away from scoring a really amazing
true. Very true.
Winner. What I would say is if we take this game, for example, Borja Sainz, Marcelino Nunes and Jakob Sorensen, probably the three who are directly involved with the Blackburn goal. Borja Sainz having the ability to pass it, didn't, gave it away. Jakob Sorensen losing his runner, and Andy Veman scores the goal. Marcelino Nunes gave the ball away. I think back to Derby County. Who was it who gave the penalty away? It was the experienced Jack Stacey. I go back to Cardiff earlier in the season. I'm looking at Grant Hanley.
Yeah.
So actually, the players involved in these aren't
the young players.
I think it comes down to a systematical kind of mentality issue of that game. I think it was 95 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Norwich City had the ball. Keep the ball for 60 seconds or lump it into Rosette. I don't care what you do. Just don't try something uber risky and give the ball away.
We talk about, Jack, and we've spoken about this over the podcast and over the years 1,000,001 times. So I'm a broken record. And for the younger fans watching this, I think it's something that is really important in a successful team. You have a strong spine, and for me, maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned. I want my spine to be experienced. Yeah, all of the outside players is fine. You can be young and experienced, raw, bit of talent. Down the middle, I want experience. And what I saw against Blackburn, we miss Kenny McLean badly.
I'm glad you mentioned
badly. We miss him badly. From
an experience,
from a talent perspective.
Sure.
Which it's pretty blindly obvious what I'm hinting at there. We badly need Kenny McLean back, both in terms of his ability, the amount of ground he covers, and critically all of the other skills, the leadership, the ability to command the pitch from the middle. Because at the minute, I'll be honest, and I hope, I don't know, I might ruffle a few feathers, but I think it's the truth. I genuinely think the only leader, really, that was on that pitch was Shane Duffy. Because the others aren't that type of player. Do you know what I mean? Like, they do look to Josh Sargent, for example, but he's still youngish, isn't he, right? And I'm not, by the way, saying that you can't be a leader as a young player. I just feel, for me, the lads badly miss Kenny. But look, there were, three players that were at fault for Blackburn's goal. But regardless, even before that, and let's maybe transition now, Jack, because there was another big reason why we didn't win that game. We didn't take our chances, and Anis Ben Slimane, a player that you've said was going to be the player of the season this season, a player that, hey, by the way, I still really think will be a brilliant player for Norwich City. I'm pleased that we've signed him permanently. It's a stinker. Not his performance on the whole. I need to be so clear with that. Not the performance on the whole, the opportunity. It's a brilliant play from Kellen Fisher down the right-hand side, feeds Nunes, cuts across the box, it falls to him, loads of space time. Jack, all he has to do is hit the target. No, just hit the target. It doesn't need to be just hit the target, and that ball goes in. I don't know how he misses. That's a big chance. I'm not sure why the stats don't register it as a big chance. It's a big chance. And the other one as well is Kellen does so well to cut the ball in from the right, has it in on his left, and can't find the target. And again, that isn't as much of a big chance as the Slimane chance. But I think to myself, well, do you know what? And we know what this side are like. We're always going to concede goals. We need to score more than one goal in every game to stand a chance of winning. And then, by the way, I think we bulldoze teams. So I think that's the reason why it went Pete Tong over the game management piece and the officiating.
Well, just quickly before we get on to the officiating, because I can sense your blood pressure rising to an almost unhealthy level. Just on the most frustrating thing for me is on the whole, I would class this as a pretty polished performance. I thought Norwich were good.
Yeah.
They created some chances, not enough, but some good quality chances.
Yeah, I agree.
They had a nice finish through Ante Cianats, for the most part limited Blackburn to very few chances. The frustration for me is it feels like Norwich have to be an absolute 9 or 10 out of 10 performance to win away from home.
Yeah.
Blackburn, they were okay. They were pretty average, I thought, and yet they've come away with a point. And it's felt like multiple times this season I look back to Sheffield United or Sheffield Wednesday away from home. Teams don't have to really shift through many gears in order to pick up performances. And it feels like Norwich has to be absolutely perfect. I look back to the last, if we're going to the teams near the top of the table, Leeds, Sheffield United. I mean, I've watched Leeds, what feels like the last 19 Monday nights in a row, just score last-minute winners. And we know what Farke's all about. I've watched Sheffield United a lot this season. I'm watching them going, I don't think you're that good. But you're winning football matches. You find ways to win.
I get it. I get it.
I don't know if that's a mentality thing. I don't know if that's an age profile thing. I don't know if that's a Johannes hasn't had enough time to really...
Season,
I think it's a mixture of all of those things, but it's frustrating.
No, I'm totally with you, Jack. I agree. And I think what makes that game at the weekend more frustrating is, as you say, they're above us in the table. It was a table climber, wasn't it? It was a 6-pointer, and we could have dragged them out of it and pulled us up into it if we'd won that game, and we should have won that game. And I don't give a shit saying it. Blackburn are bang average. They are bang average. There was absolutely nothing about them. And maybe some Blackburn fans will be in the comments saying, "Well, if we're bang average, what are you?"
Well, I think
the truth is not good enough.
Yeah.
But the fact that we didn't get 3 points against Blackburn was poor.
Well, I think Chris is a good point, and I agree with you. I think there's 4 very good teams, or better teams than the rest in this. You've got Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley, Sunderland. I think they've got they've got quality, and they've got. I mean, there's a clear gap. I mean, Sunderland in 4th on 65 points. 12 points from Coventry in 5th. But you've then got this pack from there down: Coventry, West Brom, Blackburn, Middlesbrough, Bristol City, Watford, and then us.
Yeah.
It's a pack of teams where I don't think we're any worse than Coventry, let's say. Mm-hmm. Granted, they've had the kind of Frank Lampard bounce, but let's say West Brom. I mean, I was at the Hawthorns earlier this season. West Brom were pretty average. But it comes back to this point. Yeah. They can win games when they're at a 7 out of 10. We can't.
Well, and also, the West Brom case, Jack, actually, is earlier on the season, if you remember, we were losing games and they were drawing games. And I remember chatting to a West Brom fan about this. They hadn't scored, wait for this, you ready? They hadn't scored a goal in 6 home games, but they drew all of them.
Well, they had that run, didn't they, where it was just 1-0 either way, or 0-0.
There you go, there's 6 points. And that makes a big difference. I think it was the ever fantastic Connor Southwell in his post-match review said something like, and it's always if buts and maybes, and the should have bucket is maybe back out now, Jack, as we've had over the years. The should have bucket, should have won that, should have had a point here, should have beaten that
bucket is
team,
overflowing.
Should have been, mate. It's been overflowing for fucking years.
we need a water butt.
And for sure, like in the last 3 games, we should have had at least 4 more points. So it's not good enough. I think. It's just where we're at, and I think sadly I am now in the situation of it's the story of our season, which makes me think, well, maybe my XP isn't where it should be, but that is just how I feel. I just think, fucking hell, but another game where it's that. I mean, that just sums up how good and how bad the team can be.
But it's funny. I mean, the Championship has a way of keeping you engaged, regardless of where you're at. We'll get onto it later, and I'll get you excited. Norwich now have 2 very winnable home games in the next week, and if you win those, we're suddenly sat here in 10 days' time going, "Oh, we couldn't, could we?"
Yeah, I know, but we're back. But this is the thing: we're back to where we were before the horror week. Derby and remember Derby and Preston at home.
Because I think we were 4 points off the playoffs.
Yeah, with Derby and Preston at home, and we're thinking, well, that's 6 points, and it should be, and it could be, and it would be. But it wasn't. And people will be watching this going, well, I told you. Like, fuck off, get some passion, like, get some standards, all right? Like, we should have beaten those 2 teams. Anyway, we're now back to where we were, right? And we are going to talk about Oxford later on, but...
Right, I've got you in a good place. I've got you excited. I've got you cheery.
I know what you're going to do.
Let me bring you back down to earth.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Positive from the weekend. Angus Gunn's jaw hasn't been broken, although the best efforts from Blackburn Rovers.
I can tell you it's badly bruised, though.
I mean, that was an absolute stinker, wasn't it? Championship officiating. I think this is the most boring topic to discuss in world football, but we're going to discuss it anyway because we love boring people here on the TNC Podcast.
Well, it's not cricket.
We know the standard of officiating in the Championship. It is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
And this one, it stings even more just because Kenny McLean, QPR, half as bad.
Yeah.
Retrospective ban derailed our season. And yet this is almost allowed to happen. I'm pretty sure the officials have seen this.
How can you see that and go, yeah, don't do it again, no worries, play on?
It didn't even look like an elbow to me. It looked like a punch. It looked like something you'd see down King Street in Yarmouth on a Friday night.
It was GBH. It is literally GBH. If that happens on the street, you're behind bars for the night.
Imagine if that happened on the street.
I don't know what to say anymore. I think again, Connor Southwell summed it up brilliantly in his post-match on the Pinkins YouTube channel. He said something like this: the officials have been, for a long time, been horrifically bad. Who's the really famous bald referee from back in the day that was absolutely brilliant?
Collini?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
He was saying, because of the abuse that refs get, it's we're going to be in a crisis in the game. Sort it the fuck out then. It's abysmal. It's abysmal. And I for one will challenge my own thinking here, right? Because I've sat here on this podcast. I've said, look, at least in the Championship, we won't have the soulless sack of shit, which is VAR.
Oh, don't go here. Don't change your tack on this.
No, I'm not. But what I am saying is, hey, I'm happy to hold a mirror up and say, hang on, Chris, the VAR, your VAR, that is so bad. That's so bad. It sucks the living daylight out of games. But over here, you've got pure, utter incompetence. I mean, it's pub football level. It's amateur hour level. Jack, he's literally gone like that. And he's not even been booked. And allegedly they've seen it. What? And hey, do you know the other thing I'll say, right? And I've said it to you and you always laugh in the Barclay. There's decisions I'm looking at in the Barclay and I've gone, we've got away with one there. So this isn't just a Norwich City thing. I'm not here with my yellow and green glasses on.
And you said that having not been able to see properly.
Yeah, I've got.
You have got your new specs.
I've got better prescriptions now. But the point is, Jack, this isn't just they're bad for Norwich City. They're bad. They're bad for both teams. And hey, Blackburn, I'll put it out there. I'll be honest. Blackburn, they had a pretty good penalty shout. Yeah, Jacob Wright's on the edge of the area. Could have been in the area, could have not been, and yes, of course, could have gone either way. But, mate, honestly, the standard of officiating, and by the way, not just in the AFL, well, obviously below it's a horror show, but in the Premier League it's woeful as well. It's so bad, and yeah, for sure, it might be because the abuse has been so bad over the years that people don't want to be a referee anymore. Well,
I've sat here on the podcast and been abused for 10 years. I still do it.
Come on.
Sort it out. My stance on this to try and not shave, valuable years off of my life is just go, it probably evens out over the course of the season. And that gives me peace. And that gives me the ability to sleep at night.
Right, all right. Can you honestly sit here now and say the decisions have evened out for Norwich City this season?
No, not this season.
No way, Jose. No. We've had our pants pulled down by the PGMOL or whatever they call themselves. What's that group committee? Those bunch of tossers. What do they do? Sit there with their bloody cup of Bovril going, I don't like Scottish people, I'll give him a ban. I mean, he's pathetic. I honestly I can't fathom it. I think they're all a bunch of clowns. They're a bunch of clowns.
It's not like you, sitting on the fence.
But why are you so passive with it?
Because
where's your passion gone?
Because
you've just seen Angus Gunn being assaulted, and you are sitting here like you've just been on a bloody spa weekend.
I tell you what it is, Chris. It's apathy towards the referees. I've seen poor decisions against Norwich City, and again, all Championship fans up and down, whether it's Talk Blackburn Rovers or Talk Norwich City. Yeah, we will be sitting here feeling hard done.
By the way, because you
Talk Blackburn Rovers.
Imagine how
talking about the Venkies every week. Look, it was a howler. I feel for Angus. I feel for Norwich City. I think, if Blackburn they did go down to 10 men just very late on in the game.
Yeah, obviously. But I'm not giving the ref credit for that. Obviously, they should have gone down to 10 men.
Yeah, so we will put that in the howler basket and try and move on.
Okay.
Where else? I mean, let's talk about what was so close to being the winner, because I want to be.
Well, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
I want to speak highly about Ante Sinat.
Well, before we get to the actual winner itself, let's talk about the players involved, because it starts from Borja Sainz, which I'm going to make a point about later on in this podcast. It starts with Borja Sainz, who feeds it to Emi Marcondes.
It's a lovely ball, actually.
I mean, he needs a new contract. We're going to talk about that later on in the podcast as well. It's a brilliant cutback.
It is, yeah.
It's low, it's hard, it's
quick,
at the right angle, it's fizzed across the box. You've put it in the hot pot. Yeah, you've put it in the mixer. When you put things in the mixer,
good things happen.
Ante Sinat runs onto it, and tell you what, it's a venomous finish. Bottom left. Fucking love the bloke. Well, I love Ante Sinat.
You've got this lovely casserole dish, haven't you?
Yes.
And Marcondes has put sort of the staple ingredients in. There's a nice little stock cube.
Yeah.
Some other good bits in there.
Yeah,
and then Ante's added the spices at the end, where you go from okay, that's a nice staple dish.
Bog standard casserole.
That's okay, that'll fill the stomach, to, oh wow.
Yeah.
I want seconds.
To a Golden Blackiston style casserole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where you eat it and you go, oof, that was worth the effort. That was worth the effort.
I love that boy. I just think he's got a bright future.
Who, Galton?
Both. No, honestly, I think Ante Sinat's the run, tick. Yeah. The finish, tick.
Double tick.
And the way he kind of almost, I don't know whether he's still building his confidence, but I love the fact he almost didn't feel fully confident to celebrate fully with the fans. But I kind of like that. I like him. And I think Connor.
Yeah, let me read this stat and I'll take it as my own.
I'll tell you what, Connor Southwell, you should be sponsoring this podcast now we've shouted you out.
Ante Sinat is now the joint top goal scorer in the Championship, aged 21 or younger, so players who are 21. I always forget he's that young. He's now got more league goals than Willie Gnonto, Kiefer Moore and Maktar Guehi.
And Willie Gnonto
is 6 goals for the season for Ante.
And Willie Gnonto, he is, if he's not the best, he's in the top 3 players in the league.
And his name's Willie, which is excellent.
So, yes, but no, seriously, Ante Sinat, Jack, he's building in confidence, isn't he? And, you've said there, very young player. And, by the way, the numbers are backing it up. So long, all of the unjust, overboard criticism for a young foreign player that's playing their first season in England, and thank God for that. Well, now, look at what he's doing now. It's brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
I saw someone phrase it in a way, and I like this. That trend that went around that was like bloke math, where you kind of you justify something in your head in a kind of masculine way to make things make sense. I saw someone basically say that Ante Sinat was free, and I'll tell you how they came to that conclusion.
Oh yes,
because it's essentially just a like-for-like replacement for Adam Eder, who didn't want to be here anyway. So essentially, Ante Sinat's cost nothing.
Okay.
Ante Sinat's level, I think, is higher than Adam Eder.
Yeah.
Would Adam Eder have contributed more this season? I don't know. I don't think it would have been too much more. So Ante Sinat is one of the best free signings of all time.
Okay. Well, I get the logic.
And that's what almost makes it more disappointing for me that we didn't win this game.
Yeah,
I would have loved for that to have been.
Because it was a proper winner, wasn't it?
It was.
It was a proper winner.
The ball from Marcondes, brilliant. And I think we've missed him in recent weeks. He's got the ability so often this season. You look back to goals that kind of changed the game. He was a large part of that, and he's got the ability to go slightly missing in games and make the odd bad pass. But my goodness, he can find that. He's one of the few players. Not few players, that's harsh, but he's one of the best in this squad at finding game-changing passes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's 10 goal contributions for the season for him.
Yeah, his vision is excellent, absolutely excellent. What a signing from Ben Napper to pluck him out of Hibs. I mean,
good team, won the Edinburgh Derby at the weekend.
Fair play. Anyway,
Ante Sinat's well done. A slight disappointment. I didn't think that this man could get injured, but Lewis Dobwin.
That's a massive blow, that isn't it, Jack?
I mean, look, injuries have been a real issue for us all season. It's been a real Achilles heel in more ways than one.
We've definitely had 2 proper injury crises where loads of players have.
It's like about 19.
I know, we've definitely had 2, at least 2. The Dobbin one's really interesting now, Jack. I am now starting to wonder, and it's the classic Neil Adams. What's going on in training, Neil? And it's true, isn't it? Because Lewis Dobbin goes off with it was like a calf strain or something. We were told. Were we told that in the last home game? He goes off at half time to protect him. Great, tick, well done. And it was the right decision. Smart management. But what I don't understand is how has he been deemed fit and then it's happened again and he's gone off on 35. Maybe it's just bad luck, Jack, but it seems to me like almost a bit too much of a coincidence.
I think if this was one of the first or second times this has happened this season, you'd go, okay, that's really unlucky. He's tweaked it. This isn't the first time that this has happened. Yeah. Norwich City have had a huge issue in keeping their players fit this season.
Yes.
Some bad luck in terms of like knocks, heavy challenges. They're the ones you can't make kind of justifications for. It feels as if there has been, whether it's workload, adjusting to a new style, those types of things, that can happen. I'm looking at this and going, there have been far too many injuries this season for this to be just a coincidence.
I think that is the case now. I mean, I was giving it the benefit of the doubt and being like, it begins with, it's just bad luck. And it can't be this much bad luck. And I'm just gutted. I'd be gutted if it was anyone, of course, but I'm particularly gutted with it being Lewis Dobbin because he's been looking like our best player on the pitch, Jack. And again, what a brilliant start. Forgive me. I don't think it was earlier on in the podcast I said that it was Nunes that made the ball for Slimani. It wasn't. It was Dobbin. You've got to stop saying Dobbin. Anyway, Lewis Dobbin, what was the other one?
Injured.
Dubwin. Anyway. He's brilliant, Jack, isn't he? He's so quick. And do you know what I saw about Lewis Dobbin's game, which I didn't appreciate before? His ability to dance around a player.
Oh, yeah. He's got a little bit of dancing in him, yeah.
He's electric. He's pacey, of course, right? And
Strictly
clearly he's got a great delivery. Strictly Come Dobbin comes out. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, he's got a little.
Do you know what? I love that from you. Yeah. I just love the fact, little faint sort of tap. When a player gets here, sort of taps it in between. When they go like, oh, whoa, see you later. Wait, we're on the outside.
One of those ones.
Yeah, comes and collects it again, gives it. Little dancer. You think he's going to lose it? No, little tick on the outside. Fucking fantastic
maybe
stuff.
Too much dancing. That's what's done his calf in.
Lewis Dobbin, gutted for you, mate. I just really hope and pray it's not for the rest of the season. I really hope that he can continue on. But look, I really just hope it's a few weeks at worst. But I don't know about this one, Jack.
Well, a massive thank you once again for all of the questions coming through on Twitter.
Loads of statements, rants, raves, contributions this week, Jack.
Absolutely. Nothing like a draw to Blackburn to get the pulses raised.
People want their points heard. Hey, before we go into this though, Jack, I do just want to say, if you've watched up until this point of the podcast, we want evidence.
We do.
Take a picture.
Want receipts.
We want receipts, as the young people say these days. Take a picture of your screen, wherever you're watching in the world, using the hashtag #UpTheAnte.
Nice.
Hashtag #UpTheAnte.
Up the ante.
Show us how you're watching the podcast. Shout out, by the way, to Eves Hill Farm, who are watching it on the tractor on the farm.
Shout out to the farmers.
Yeah, shout out to the farmers. I love that.
Shout out to the farmers.
Shout out to the farmers.
For?
No, but I just love the fact that people are watching it in all sorts of random, obscure places.
I think farming's probably one of the most difficult jobs in the world, right? It is a brutal job.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking out of our studio window now, the blue, beautiful skies of Norfolk. I think if there's one thing I'd love to do today, I would love to sit in a tractor and just go up and down a field. Ploughing the field, putting seed in the field, spraying the field. Yeah. I think that would be an absolutely majestic job. Now, I don't know how to use a tractor, so that would be difficult.
I could see you as a farmer, actually.
I would.
You are actually starting to dress like a farmer, actually.
I'd like to be a farmer where I could pick and choose when I work, so I only work when it's sunny.
Yeah, no chance.
I'd be a fair weather farmer. But if anybody wants, I'll do it for free. I will pay you to come and drive the tractor. I'd love to. I would really love to.
Well, look, Eves Hill Farm, shout out. Maybe they could. You know.
I just think that would be such a peaceful job.
Anyway,
Leston.
Should we get a question in?
Leston Hagland isn't asking about farming.
Right, what's he
He's
saying?
instead wanting some peace in the world. He said he doesn't want any Johannes Hoff Thorup slander from yesterday. He got it spot on and was so nearly the perfect away performance. For me, what happened after the goal was 100% the players really happy with the performance, going in the right direction. I think that's spot on. I think that last point is correct in terms of we are gradually, although it doesn't always feel, I think we are going in the right direction. We are moving forwards. I think our performances are more complete than they were even a couple of weeks ago. What I would say is, I think when Norwich, whoever you support, if you go 1-0 up in the 91st minute and don't win the game, there is going to be anger.
Yes.
I think what I would say is I would take any comment from game day with a slight pinch of salt.
Because we're all emotional.
Because you say silly things.
And that's fine.
And you want to be emotional.
Yeah.
You want this game to be emotional. So I think take that as a rule of life, take that segment after the game with a pinch of salt. We've all said silly things.
Yeah.
I think
more than anyone.
Absolutely. Is there reason to be critiquing Johannes Hoff Thorup? Maybe. I think he would be the first to accept criticism and see that this isn't the perfect formula. It's his first season. I would be concerned if it was perfect.
Ultimately, regardless of the mistakes on the pitch, he is accountable.
Of course.
So criticism is just, and I'm sure he would agree with that.
But I agree here. I think there are certain things as a head coach you almost don't have control of. I think Borja was a little bit silly in the lead up to their goal. I think Jakob Sorensen wasn't great. I think it does come down to the players. I think the biggest frustration for Johannes will be, it's not the first time this has happened. We have had points in the season where we've had the ability to learn from just stupid moments in 90 plus minutes.
But who asked the question again?
Leston.
Sorry. But Leston's point, actually, I think he's bang on, Jack. I'm seeing some absolutely wild stuff on social media. Wild. Where I'm sort of pinching myself. I'm going, is this real? Is this a dream? Like, people are saying, sack Johannes Hoff Thorup. And I'm just thinking...
Have you actually seen that?
Yes. And I'm thinking,
Who
what?
do you follow?
And I'm thinking... And I don't follow them. You know what the algorithm's like these days. I'm like, what? What? Johannes Hoff Thorup, right? He's got us playing a style of football that we've been craving for at least 2 years. He's had at least 2 injury crises. He's got a mishmash squad. The board has changed and is transitioned in his first season. In his first season in English football with a new coaching setup. Jack Wilshere coming in from Arsenal, an inexperienced first team coach. He's coming into the fray as well. He's had Johnny Rowe situation. He's had Gabriel Sara, his best player, leave the football club. He's had Josh Sargent injured. He's had Kenny McLean injured. He's had Borja Sainz banned. There are so many. I just think anyone that thinks that Johannes should go, I can't see how is your head screwed on?
I've not seen any of that person.
Okay, look, no.
You have.
No, I have, and I'm not. It's certainly not even a minority. It's like a handful, right? It really is. But it's mental. And the other thing that I find absolutely crazy, Jack, is I understand people criticising Borja for carrying the ball in that situation. He carried the ball too long. I get it, right? But after that, there's Núñez and there's Sorensen, who both commit, in my opinion, much worse tactical crimes, okay? And
crimes against tactics.
I think it's nuts, right? I saw a post over the weekend saying, sell Borja Sainz. I can't believe it. We've got the Championship's top goal scorer is donning the yellow and green. Every single team in this league, Jack, would beg, they would be on their knees for a player like Borja Sainz. Left foot, right foot, technical, fucking long range shooting, fucking at least worth 15, 20 million, at least. And I've under-egged that, by the way, because it was Mate, I can't believe people are like, I get any of those players at the weekend can expect and will understand the criticism is going to come. But some of the shit that I'm seeing on social media about those two guys, I'm just thinking, oh my God, like, how are we in a situation where you want the Championship top goal scorer to be? Are you all right?
I mean, the remarkable thing with that Borja, he hasn't scored since mid-November, and he's still the champ. It shows just how purple, how sort of milk tray purple that purple patch was. Yeah. It was a remarkable run,
and he'll get back to scoring and assisting as well, Jack. And he started the passage of play that created the Ante Sinats goal. There's a chance at the end of the game where Borja has it on the edge of the box. He takes it past two players, and hey, by the way, just on the taking it past two players, what other Norwich player could you say could take it past two players? Maybe Lewis Dobbin. Apart from that, I wouldn't name a single other Norwich player that could take it past two players. Yeah, and then it's a classic Borja shot. The keeper does very well to save it. So look, I think we need to calm down. Some of the stuff I'm seeing about Borja is a joke.
Good point, well made. Callum Bayfield says, after the draw at Blackburn, I've officially closed the curtains on playoff hopes this season, even though we can still do it. But, Callum says, however, this season's been a fun and a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Excited for the future, can start to smell the whiff of promotion soon. Ante Sinats will be a big player for us. I like that from you, Callum. And I tell you why I like that from Callum.
Yep.
Because football is so much more than the results on the pitch. It's so much more. It's about believing in what you're seeing. Yeah. It's about believing in a journey. It's about believing in the destination where Johannes Hoff Thorup could potentially take us to. Will he take us there? I don't know. But it's nice to dream.
The only thing... So I love all that. It's brilliant. Love that. Fantastic
I'm not
stuff.
writing the playoffs, by the way, personally. I think there's still a few little twists and turns left in this season. I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
No,
11 games left.
I'm not going to...
So what's that? 33 points up for grabs.
I'm not putting out your
33 points up for grabs. 4 points off the playoffs.
That many?
Yeah, I think there's 11 games left.
Hello.
Can we chase West Brom? Can we chase Blackburn Rovers? Can we chase Coventry City? Yeah. Absolutely we can.
Love that from you. Ryan NCFC_ says, statement, Sinats has got too much criticism this season. 10 goals/assists. He is the most prolific player under 21. We've already said this stat in the league, and it's not like he can control his price tag. We have a winger injury/performance crisis at the moment, so we need to get behind him for the rest of the season. Ryan, I agree with that. I mean, it's true, isn't it? Ante Sinats, like we say this all the time, facts don't care about feelings. The numbers are backing up that this boy is going places.
But I think it's funny with Sinats. I think the criticism and the praise has often swung too far either way. Like, we've got a player in Ante Sinats. I take the point that he doesn't control his price tag. We paid a chunky fee for in the Championship. I think he's been okay. I think he's been good in some parts. I think he's been okay in some parts. I think he's kind of done what we probably expected him to do this season. It always felt like it was going to be a transition season, not just for Ante on his own, but for the team. I think Ante's played far more game time than Norwich were probably hoping he would. Josh Sargent's injury. We've struggled with a right winger. He's started as a right winger, then he's come into a 9. Now he's shifted back out.
Yes.
I'm still not overly sure on his best position. I think it's probably as a centre forward. I think there are clear attributes from Ante Sinats that show to me that there's a real player in there.
Yeah.
Physically looks really good. Technically looks pretty sound. Still very young.
Yes.
I think he's probably the replacement for Josh Sargent long term. And I'm, at this stage, relatively okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you.
You only have to think back to Josh Sargent's first season. Like,
yes.
You know, there were glimpses. Well, at points, I didn't even think there were glimpses with Josh Sargent. He looked so poor at times. So you have to remember how quickly players can develop. I think this is. I think with Ante, like, never too high, never too low. I think there's a solid player in there. That's what I'd say.
Tony at Mighty FIFA 99 says, rant. How is the elbow to Angus Gunn not a red card? It's beyond me. I'm raging at that. After seeing the replay video of it, I want to say too, I'm angry we didn't hold out for 3 points. Absolutely not professional enough for me just to take the ball to the corner flag. Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, Tony. But I think Tony's main rant there, the elbow to Angus Gunn, not a red card.
Yeah, and look, I think even if we'd have won that game, we'd be discussing it and we'd be angry about it. But it's certainly the blow is somewhat softened if we win that game. I think it's even more salt in the wound, the fact that we've not gone on to win that game. It was a clear red card. It was early on in the game.
I was about to say that.
Which is obviously, makes a big difference in terms of game state. So, yeah, it was Look, it was a howler. I don't think there's much more that can be said. It will be interesting to see what happens post-match. Well, I don't think they can do anything because the ref's seen it.
This is my point. That's the absolutely nuts thing. But then, so if you have seen that, and sure your linesman or your fourth official has seen that, and by the way, they were in positions to see it.
Yeah, that's
and then how has he not even got a booking for that? Well, I guess that is just a red card. It's not even a yellow. Like if you're deemed to have done that,
it's violent play,
you can't just get a booking, can you? So, look, Tony, I'm totally with you. It's bonkers, and I'm still raging about it as well. But Jack and I'm talking on your behalf here, Jack. We're now at the point where the officiating and the standards have been so bad now that we're almost just like, another game where the ref's shit.
And that's why I've become quite. I really struggle to get too angry about those referees.
Because you almost expect it, don't you?
This is a good point from Alwyn OTBC, and a play we have not actually discussed as of yet. And I think he deserves some airtime. Cordoba was comfortably our best player against Blackburn. He's now undroppable. I'd play Doyle at left back against Oxford, and then see if Mahovo is available for the following games. This is actually a really interesting point because there's a decision for Johannes to make on Friday night against Oxford. Doyle will return from suspension,
and I want to know your opinion on this specifically because you're really passionate about the Doyle left back, centre back thing. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I'd go Fisher right back.
Yeah,
I'd go a centre back pairing of the same of Duffy and Cordoba.
Yeah,
I think on the most part it's looked good.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think you can have Doyle and Cordoba together, both left-footed, and I
think you could.
I think you could, but I don't think it's as good as Duffy and Cordoba personally. Here's the controversial one.
Come on.
I start Cresene against Oxford. I think he's got a little bit more pace than Doyle. I'm still not mad about Doyle at left back. Look, I think he's a brilliant player. And I think anywhere that Callum Doyle plays, he contributes. I'm just looking at this game in isolation. Oxford aren't going to be, throwing men forwards. I think defensively, I just think it's better suited.
You've got the Polish Prince coming back to Canaries.
That's true, and actually that plays a little bit into Cresene.
Possibly the worst player to don the shirt,
but quick. And I think Cresene's got a little bit more pace than Callum Doyle. That's what I would go for.
Interesting.
Granted, if Doyle starts at left back, I'm not going to be fuming, but this actually just comes back to Cordoba. The fact that we're even discussing, does Callum Doyle get back into the squad, actually just comes down to how good Jose Cordoba has been.
Well, look, Jose Cordoba is our future. He's our man.
Yes.
He's our player. It's important to give him game time, and I think it's completely justified. I think that he looks like an absolute rock at the back. I think he works really well with the defence, and it would be lazy for anyone, including us, to be like, well, he's just a big, strong centre-back that's aerial dominant, right? He can carry the ball. He can find a pass as well. And actually, it's something that I've praised Callum Doyle for all season. I'll continue to do so. What I love about Callum Doyle is his ability to pick his chin up and find a forward, not sideways, hint, hint, sideways Sorensen, forward pass. Brilliant. Jose Cordoba can do that too. Callum Doyle, he's now got a bit of a challenge on his hands because he's gone from undroppable to, well, maybe they'll have to play Doyle and Cordoba. Maybe Duffy will have a rest now. I don't know. Just a quick one on Duffy. I'm pleased that Duffy had a really, really solid display against Blackburn after the Stoke City performance. I think he's now put that to bed, and he's repaid Johannes for his faith in him, because Johannes would be within his rights to drop him in that game. But back to Cordoba again. Bloody brilliant. I love
who
him.
are you starting at left back? Just assuming that Mahovo's not going to be back for it.
It's really tough, isn't it? See, the thing is, and I'm going to sit on the fence on this, right?
Oh, here's another one that you can throw in.
Go on.
Fisher at left back, Stacey at right back.
No, I think you keep players in. You play players in their positions because we're now not in an injury crisis in that situation. The thing that I would say, with my chest puffed out, is I actually don't mind, because we're playing Oxford,
who we lost to earlier in the season.
Yeah, but have some standards. Mate, I honestly, right, we we're playing Oxford. Okay, we're coming up against a player that I'm convinced is not a footballer.
Chris, we
cannot
get complacent.
Mate, no, I know. No, it's not about complacency.
I'm
not saying complacency. I hope we bulldozed them. Look, mate.
Our last game under the floodlights.
Yeah.
Was it Preston or was it Derby County? I think it was Derby.
Either way,
I think it was Preston, wasn't it? Right? Preston.
Yes.
So let's not get complacent.
I'm not feeding into the complacency narrative. I'm just saying we're coming up against Oxford. Callum Doyle or Ben Crescene or Kevin Fisher, whoever goes left back, should be able to defend against a footballer that I'm convinced is not a footballer. I'm sorry. I've got a couple actually.
Okay,
a couple that are joined together.
Go on, man.
So first one is from Tyler Kirk. Second one is from Ashley Snelling. So Tyler Kirk's statement, two statements actually from both of these lads.
Greedy.
Tyler's statement: Marcondes needs a contract extension. He is absolutely vital for the way we play, and he's an amazing player. And Ashley says statement/rave: give Mr. Marcondes a new deal ASAP. The boy is simply magic. Some player. Emmy Marcondes, Jack, surely he's got a new get.
I mean, if we've got the could have bucket, I think you've got a no-brainer bucket, and we'll drop Mr. Marcondes.
He's in the
no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's one of those where he's been brilliant this season. You know, he's not going to be on massive wages. It's just one of those where you go, it is a no-brainer. I don't see a world where you wouldn't renew his. He's been pretty reliable from a fitness perspective.
Yeah.
So you don't even necessarily have to bring that into it. Yeah, of course you give him a new contract.
Experienced, been promoted, played at a couple of clubs that have gone on to do things. He's a good person. He fits within the Norwich City DNA. He is embedding himself and getting involved in the local community and the community initiatives. 10 goal involvements this season. Have I said experienced already?
Probably.
I'll say it again. He's experienced, and that is now probably more valuable given that we're bringing down the age profile of the squad. Ben Napper, I know you listen, give him a contract. He needs a new contract, doesn't he, Jack?
He does. Here we go. Jack, OTBC. Great
Hello,
name.
Jack.
Rant. Borja's decision-making has been so poor since coming back. Point on decision-making. From refusing to shoot on the edge of the box to trying to take on 3 players in the 94th minute when 1-0 up, was looking forward to seeing a new science after JHT saying he's a different person since the suspension. I think that's a good point. I think let's split this into two. You've got Borja Science as a player.
Yeah.
Incredibly technical, sound, like just a very, very talented footballer.
Yeah.
And you've got his decision-making, which I agree, I think needs work. Mm-hmm. I think we should be allowed to separate those two, and I would agree with Jack there. I don't think his decision making has been as good as we maybe came to expect from Borja.
I think he should be allowed some grace period after being out for 6 games.
But I think it was. And actually, I think it was similar prior to the suspension as well.
And I think his performance levels since coming back have been very good. Yes. I understand at the weekend that he should have passed it, but then on the other end of the stick, who said that? Sorry,
Jack.
I want to address Jack. But on the other end of the stick, Jack, people are criticising him for not shooting on the edge of the box. So,
well, it's just decision making.
So can Borja actually win this here, right? Because when Borja is keeping the ball and then passing rather than shooting, he's getting criticised. When he's getting criticised for anything and everything at the moment. It goes back to this analogy that I use from time to time. At the minute, because of his ban, he is a player that is under the Norwich City magnifying glass. When Norwich fans are looking at him because the attention is on him because of his ban, yada yada yada. Look, Championships top goal scorer for a reason, exceptionally talented, under a really good, nurturing head coach in Johannes Hoff Thorup, who he works really well with. The squad absolutely love him. I think we just need to give Borja a bit of time again to get back to where he was. I think the criticism is overboard and is very, very harsh.
I agree on the most part. I think what I would say with Borja is because of his own performance levels,
because of how good he's been,
expectations rise with that. And essentially, we're all coming at this from, we all love Borja. We all know what he's capable of. If he wants to go to that next step, that 25, 30 million pound price tag, he's going to need to find the kind of, like with Buendia, he was you never really question that decision making. Yes, he was stupid at times, but more often than not, he'd find the pass, he'd find the shot. I think that leaves a little bit. It leaves me wanting a bit more with Borja. Okay. That's what I'd say in terms of if he wants to go to that next level. We already know he's one of the best players in the Championship. Can he now go to an ability where he could mix it with the Premier League boys on a weekly basis? I think there's work to be done for that.
Yeah, okay, fine. And I will just add on to all of this, which isn't particularly healthy, but I will. I cannot believe the amount of stick that the Championship's top goal scorer, just to repeat that one more time, who plays for Norwich City, Borja Sainz is the Championship's top goal scorer, is getting more criticism than players that have literally contributed absolutely jack shit this season. I think it's absolute lunacy. The Unthanked Kitchen, proud sponsor of the Talk Norwich City podcast. Don't forget, by the way, to get your matchday breakfast. Which, by the way, when is that back?
Well, just go in there and get some. I mean,
go in there.
Honestly, their menu is absolutely sublime.
So the next.
I'm not just saying this. I think it's the best breakfast in Norwich.
Yeah. Oh, God. Of course it is. Yeah. Of course it is. Anyway, statement. Kenny, let's be Avenue. Looking forward to Friday night under the lights with Kenny's captaincy again.
Yeah, I'm really gutted for Kenny. I mean, it's been such a stop-start season for him with injuries and bans, and when he's played, he's looked really good, and I think he's maturing like a fine wine, Kenny. I think what we need to be careful with. I think it's going to take a little while for him to get back up and running. I am concerned about Kenny in terms of his fitness, but this team is screaming out for him. We need a Kenny McLean in there.
Michael Bauer's friend of the channel, actually, massive Sunderland fan, funnily enough, but has always been a big TNC supporter. He says, Norwich versus Sunderland playoff semis, lads? ? Well, look, it's interesting, Michael. Look, I don't think it matters who Norwich City play. If we do get into the playoffs, we're not going to get very far.
Well, it would be funny, wouldn't it?
I probably would fancy Sunderland over anyone else.
Well, Norwich at the moment are nearly 20 points behind Sunderland. It would be one of those seasons, wouldn't it, where
maybe it's the Blackpool story. Maybe it's the Blackpool story.
You could sneak in there and play a team that have been miles better than you for the entire of the season.
Yeah.
And somehow find a way of winning. Chris,
yes.
We're tight on time,
yes.
So I will say it's... Okay. How many times have we said this season? It's a big week for Norwich City.
Yes, it is.
And it's felt like more than any, there have been opportunities that have just continued to present themselves. I love these back-to-back home games.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity to put 6 points together in a quick succession.
Set your stall out then. So we've got 2 home games, Oxford and Sheffield Wednesday.
I think...
Where are you at?
I think these are better opportunities than Derby and Preston. I really do.
Do you?
I think they are absolutely must win.
Okay.
And I think they should win games.
So Oxford haven't won a game in 8, just to let you know.
Oh, we're losing that 1-0, aren't we?
No, we're fucking not.
Oxford had a really good run when they changed
to Gary Rowett. Yes,
changed to Gary Rowett. They went on a really nice run, kind of got them to a point where it looked like, well, not only are they going to survive, but they could finish mid-table. They are currently 7 points above the drop zone, so they've got a bit of distance, but they have been seriously poor for the last few weeks. Norwich City must win that game.
Yes,
and then it's Sheffield Wednesday, who are actually only just below us in the table, but it feels like a good opportunity. If Norwich City want a genuine chance of top 6 this season, I'm not dancing around anymore. These are must-win games.
I am with you.
Draws aren't good enough. We are running out of games.
I am with you. We have to win the next 2. And I know that last time we said, it's boom or bust against Blackburn. For real this time, and hold us accountable. Next podcast we have to be talking about 2 home wins.
But because actually...
We have to be.
We talked about this really nice run. It kind of ends after Sheffield Wednesday.
Right, okay.
You've then got Bristol City, you've got West Brom, you've got Sunderland, you've got Burnley, you've got Middlesbrough.
Tough. Got to
Games are running out. Points will be dropped from here on in.
In which case, there's no right. You've got to win the next 2 games. And by the way, we will.
I think we will as well. Chris, top man.